So we had local independent food co-ops that were kind of busting and kicking and thriving because they were different. They were offering local foods. They had the organic produce in them. And then Whole Foods came along and just grabbed it.
Yeah.
Just made it bigger, better, more appealing, more marketable, just like sophisticated, more resources, and then it grabbed the market. And same thing happened with organic. Like there was local small farms everywhere in North America pushing local produce at the farmer's market. You know, organic was, you want to be different, you want to be more in tune with nature, you want to be more in tune with the solution, buy organic. And now Big Ag just bought the label, the organic certification labeling. So, like, I think even though I'm super positive and I'm not overly politicized, like, we're always fighting against corporation that want to steal our markets. And we need to be thinking like that. We want to steal their markets. We want to grab people out of the supermarkets and bring them into the local food hub. We want to counter, university extension agents that are heavily funded by Big Ag.
Like in the U.S. especially.
Like in the U.S., we want to fight back and have our own resources. And we want to fight politicians on these things. And like, there needs to be a certain level of activism still, and I think it's just inevitable.
Yeah, and every successful grassroots movement faces that same problem of big business wanting to use it, put it to use for their own ends.
Yeah,
and it's the grassroots. It's up to them, to us, to anyone in the small scale farming world, to be the resistance to that, I guess.
Yeah, like, last time we were together, I had this T-shirt, "Resistance is fertile."
Yeah,
and I think that's true. And like, there's an opportunity also because Big Ag has control of the food distribution, so it's just an opportunity to reclaim it.
Yeah.
So more farms, local farms, better engineering of local food hubs, how they're organized. Local food shops, local coffee shops, everything that's not Starbucks, anything that's not Whole Foods, anything that's not, it's like, this is what's interesting. This is there's taste, there's flavor, there's colors, there's people, there's culture. This is the crossroad between having something that is blended and homogeneized. What's the word for that?
Homogenized.
Homogenized and lame and boring.
Yeah.
And having a vibrant culture like you'll have in Europe or in France or here in Philipsburg, where there's a farm to table and that's where you want to be. Independent theater, independent everything.
Yeah. Speaking on that, the relation of Big Ag, the idea that Big Ag controls the food supply in a lot of ways, or the distribution, and that we have an opportunity to take parts of that. It's easy for one to imagine how that can be done with veggies, and kind of how it's already an option. But I'm curious about what you think about those other things that we all like to eat, the breads, the pastas, the grain, the oil, all these things that I think make up a large part of many people's diets. Where does small scale farming need to fit into that? What do you think?
That's such a great question. And today, like, I see this happening, and it's gonna be the next 30 years. You'll have local food processing plants, micro plants.
Yeah.
Like, they'll have all the equipment of an industrialized plant, but it's gonna be small, micro, and for local markets.
Like microbreweries, I guess.
Microbreweries. It's a great example. Like 30 years ago, there was perhaps like 7 beers in the whole US market that were distributed everywhere.
Yeah.
Now there's tens of thousands that are everywhere popping up. It's creating a local economy. That's we're going to see that with wine. Like, wine today is controlled by a lot of people that have a lot of money, that have estates. Like, you'll see young people getting into wine, making natural wine, doing a lot less bottles, but selling them directly, being more present, a better product, and using the technology of more industrial things, but on a local level. You'll see that with grains, small grains. Like that's the old mill that we used to, what's the word for
mill?
We used to mill, the grain from all the farmers in the area, and produce, locally produce all the wheat that we would eat, all the different cereals. Like it's going to come back to that, because the wheat today is making people sick. Like that's, like everyone's that's stop eating wheat, guaranteed you'll feel much better. So that's not normal, because wheat is it's a superfood.
Yeah.
But it's so poorly, it had the genetics of the wheats is so poor now, the seeds, that we need to kind of just propose an alternative that is much more superior, and then you'll have local mills, and you have all the equipment to make your flour, and then you'll have the label, the coolness factor of it. You'll sell online, you'll sell to local, and that's going to happen in everything.
Yeah, and it's already happening.
It's happening.
Like I know of a farm in New Jersey where I used to live that was doing small scale grains, and the NOFA of New Jersey was really involved in this, and they had people from like Amish country coming to talk about how they were doing grains and do showcases on, I think it was einkorn is one of the varieties. It's like a heirloom variety of, I think, wheat. I hope I'm right. And there was a sense that is coming, and it's only going to come more and more, because it's already proliferated with veggies. But it's
and microbreweries. You said it. Like microbreweries is a great example. Like I wish we could have the numbers of how 30 years prior and now the impact of microbreweries in the local economies throughout the US and North America. It's, here in Dunham, like it's the number one employer.
Yeah.
It's huge. And, it's the Dunham Brewery is a microbrewery. It's not.
Yeah, it's all done right there.
So, and the reason why I'm so excited about that is that if you distill all the moving parts in an argument about what could replace mass production, it's not about regenerative farming, organic farming. It's not a label, because the label will always be co-opted. It's about local. It's about presence, human. It's about connections. And that, my friend, cannot be duplicated on a large scale, except if it's multiplied. And that's the real revolution. And then no one's talking about that. No one is the spokesman of that idea. And there needs to be more people saying this is what should happen.